Well, hey, Internet, welcome to my build. My name is Steve. This is 1,000-Year Home. So what I'm doing is I'm building a retirement home that I believe will last 1,000 years. Now, I'm not going to last 1,000 years, but I'm hoping the retirement home lasts 1,000 years. So I'm building it out of modern materials. There's two on this build site, 40-foot high cubes, 40 foot by 8 foot. So they're 9'6" top. And I'm converting them into a Spanish Mission style home that I'll end up wrapping in Adobe, Hyper Adobe. Now, you can build straight out with Adobe. And I've looked and seen if there's a lot of people with composite materials, and there's not. So one thing I've been careful to do is make sure that I've trying to keep water off of the shipping container, right? Water is the enemy of success. And it doesn't take much for you to get mold. And it doesn't take much for you to get in over your head. And the one true disadvantage of shipping containers is something called container rain or container moisture. And physically, if you take a lot of moist air and you stick it inside of one of these containers and they're weather tight, right? They're ocean going. And you stick that in there and you've put a lot of heat cycles on it, the rain will condense, fall down on whatever you're storing, and that could be shoes or shipping goods or whatever they're shipping across the ocean. Or if you're building with a shipping container home, it can be your stuff. And then you get mold in the walls and and that's a real deal. Listen, it's also a real deal with stick-built houses. If you allow moisture in a stick-built house, you too will have mold in that as well. But the black body of space at night wicks all the heat off of big metal things, right? And it puts a huge temperature differential between the inside of the container and the outside of the container, and thus the container rain. So when I first bought this and I put it on site, the very first week that I had it, I opened it up, and indeed I had container rain. So, and that'll wake you up, right? It'll let you know, oh, maybe I'm in over my head here. But, you know, if you have a glass, let's say, in your hand and ice cubes in it on a hot summer day, it'll get a sweat on the outside, right? Sure. But if you take that same glass and you put it in a koozie and you leave it outside, it'll only sweat where it touches the atmosphere and only where in the condensation points. So in order to keep a container home from sweating, having container rain, you've got to decrease the temperature differential between the walls and the inside. And you really, if you can, like dehumidifier, control the moisture inside of it. Now I'm doing timber frame because I wasn't allowed to, during when I first set this in, there was a drought. I wasn't allowed to use torches and things to cut windows out, nor welding. I didn't want to burn Texas down. The part of Texas I'm in has had some of the largest wildfires in Texas history. So I'm super careful. Don't want to burn down my own property, nor do I want to, damage all of Texas. I don't want to be remembered that way. So I cut these out with hand tools, hand saw, reciprocal saws, and I did use an angle grinder in the corners, and it did throw sparks. So we put spark arresters. And then timber frame. So my container has a little bit more breathability than your average container, and then I've built the window frames and door frames out of wood. But the negative part of that is the wood is not treated yet. I've got various Thompson water seals in that I'm going to be testing and doing once this rain goes away. And so I get a little moisture weeping through. So how am I keeping, I've had one incident of container rain. How am I keeping the container rain away? Well, it's quite easily related to this InfoStop foil. And it puts enough of a temperature differential between the inside and the walls that the walls don't condense. They don't condense on the outside and they don't condense on the inside. In other words, I haven't had container rain. And I didn't even have to do the whole container. I originally just foiled it about 30% of the way there, and I haven't had a lick of container rain since. So the condensation, I really like this solution. I like it better than spray foam, which is noxious, plus a lot of it's flammable. Plus, if it does get in a flood and it's not closed cell foam, it will trap moisture in forever. And you'll be done. But this foil, it's just bubble wrapped with aluminum foil on it. If water gets in it, a worst case scenario, I'd have to just cut it out. But actually, you know, I could just, and it'll not, well, I should say never fly. I am way up beyond 500-year flood, nor have I broken the top of this thing. So I'm not expecting, but let's say the bathtub floods or something weird happens. I could simply remove the bottom, 10 inches of drywall, cut that, remove the mineral wool that I'm going to be doing. This is mineral wool in there, and then cut that foil out of there and allow it to air dry, with your typical dehumidifiers and blowers, whatever you'd use in there. Now, I'm not expecting to have that problem, but I have inspected behind this many times, and I've not had more rain than I've had and more temperature extremes than I've had in Texas since I've started building. I'm in month 10, and in 13 days, we've had 15 inches of rain. So, and the humidity has got to be 100%. I mean, it's only 82 in here right now, and I'm already just dripping sweat. But when I pull these aluminum foil back and I inspect, there's no condensation, there's no moisture. They are bone dry behind there. And then, of course, when I shoot the ceiling of it, that's not insulated, I'm getting, well over 150 on a bright sunny day, and the foil itself will be something else. Let's look at it together. Let's see. 88. Are y'all seeing that? Let me rotate. So it's 88, 87 in here. Well, that's good. That's nice. Let's walk over here. Look at the door here. 97 on the door. Let's look at the ceiling. All right, 109. All right, 111, 113, 120. And I've seen as high as 160, right? So we'll walk over to the uninsulated Connex. Take a look at it. Just for reference. All right, the walls are 102. So from 88 to 102 is, a 20-degree temperature difference. And actually, I had 120, right? 120 on one of these, 114. So, and it's not even a very bright day. I have seen a 60-degree temperature differential between the outside and the inside. But where the foil is, it's just ambient. So water's not going to condense out on ambient. It's no different than a tree or something, something else that's innocuous. So real happy with that. What I need to do today is I'm continuing to work on this bay. I am quasi living in this thing. First, I put in a bed just to see if it fits, and it does. I like it. But it turned out it's so comfy and dry and warm compared to my pop-up camper. I'm just 15 days of, and even at the heat, this is nicer to live in as a construction site than my pop-up trailer is. So anyway, I've been staying at night inside of here. And then when the hail comes and the big storms come, it doesn't scare me, right? This is a nice place to be. But I did want to spend a moment talk about container rain and condensation. I think that's a big deal. I think it's one of the most dangerous things of building with a Connex, and something that y'all will have to take track of yourself. Now, eventually I'll have a condensation atmospheric condensers in here, and I'll be using that to create my potable water. Don't worry, I'll have UV filters on it, and it'll be sterilized and everything. No Legionnaire disease for me. Plus, I'll maintain the equipment. And you'll all like it. I'll make about 7 gallons of water a day just from the air around me. So, and I've been looking at wells in here, pioneer wells around this area. And people have, old pioneers have driven an 1.5-inch well and hit water as shallow as 46 feet in my plane if I go out. So I'm in an aquifer with multiple layers. Now, most of the wells are 300 feet deep. So what I've decided to do is the atmospheric condenser, the rooftop gathering, and I've been considering putting in a shallow well for my agricultural needs and to augment this house. We'll see. But I'll drive that by hand if I do. and that's man's work there. So I'm going to delay that as long as possible. But I did want to talk about the container condense. You need to consider condensation and get some evaporators and dehumidifiers in right away. I'm liking building with this timber, exposed breeze. And again, I haven't had a lick of container condensation since I put in this insulation, just the foil part of it. Just 30%. It changed the whole dynamics. It just doesn't condense out on it. Now, will that last 1,000 years or in a tropical environment or something? I am in a tropical environment. I'm telling you, I get over 100-degree Fahrenheit days and almost 100% humidity on a regular basis. But it's not. I'm not like Costa Rica or something, but Panama or someplace in South America where it's just a day in and day out. But I would still think that this is a good solution. I did epoxy coat everything, and then I went back through and I treated the rust with rust preventative material from Eastwood. So it converts iron oxide into an Fe4 that's a bound black. You're familiar with it. You've seen it on other Connexes. The outside looks terrible while I'm doing this. In fact, you can see where I've treated it here. Right? So, you know, I've just chased it around. There I did it. You see the rust, and there I did. So once I get close to this, doing this door, I'll treat it one last time. And so anyway, this is my video on dealing with container condensation. And the easiest thing to do is to change the temperature differential between the inside of your container and the wall. And I found this foil wrap. It's from Infrastop. It's super cheap, easy to put up, easy to manage. I'm trying to do a 1,000-year home, so this stuff was rated with the polyethylene at 500 years. So, and who knows, you know, that's beyond that. Plastics last forever. So it's bubble wraps sandwiched between aluminum. And we all know that aluminum lasts forever. Those poor metal detectorists are encountering aluminum and tin cans. They'll be encountering it for forever. It does last a long time. So anyway, the rest of the day I'm going to spend working in this, getting it ready for drywall. But I did want to spend a moment and talk about the real problem of container rain and how you could deal with it during construction. And this Infrastop, I think it's superior to spray foams. I think spray foams trap moisture, and I don't think they're healthy for you. And furthermore, I don't think I could set this stuff on fire. And some spray foams you can, right? And then lastly, as I mentioned, if there is a flood and the water got behind any of this, it's just a matter of opening up a few inches and airing it out. It's not like spray foam, cellular spray foam that will trap moisture and wreck your house. And then lastly, while I'm building, I at least have an atmospheric ambient temperature in here right now where I'm standing. It's no different here than if I was standing outside. Now that I've got it all foil wrapped. Prior to this, last year it was a hot box. But anyway, I hope that this idea works for you. If you decide to do it and you find out it doesn't, it's not going to break your bank. The stuff isn't $1 million. It's not like spray foam where you needed special equipment and all the labor that went into it. It's 4-foot sheets by 100, and I just roll it out and cut it and tape it with aluminum tape. Give it a whirl. And put down in the comments down below, and I'll leave a link. And I'm not sponsoring this company's product, but I'm just saying that this is working for me, and it's working very well. And since putting even a third of it down, I haven't had a single bit of container condensation, and a lot of rain has come and gone. So in this month, 15 inches of rain in 13 days. That's a lot of rain in Texas. All right. Thanks much. Continue to watch, like, subscribe, send me around. Listen, I'm building a container home as a retirement home. I see young people building it as their first home. And that's where retirees and young people meet together, right? We're both on the path of trying to conserve our income and maximize our value. And I am sold on this container home. I'm a single man builder out here and off grid. And I think you can do it. And I think you can save money, and I think you can make a 1,000-year home too as well. All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.